In the previous video, we created our blueprint character for our player and added a mesh for pawn sensing, and also made our environment, our levels show where our player can move around in. If you want to get rid of that, you could always just hit P. It's going to switch it back and forth where it shows it and it doesn't if you don't want to have a green tint to everything. So we're going to go back into the BP enemy and we're going to have the pawn sensing selected on the left under components, and we're going to scroll on the right down to on C pawn under the list of events that are going. And so it should be at the very bottom of the details pane, and we're going to click on that, and that's going to bring up our events graph window with our event for on pawn sensing. So this is how we're actually going to make our character move when it sees the player. And so what we first need is a variable. And if we remember right, variables are, they're just places, right, that we store a value that we want to keep. And so we're going to click down over here to variables and click new. And we're going to type in C's player. And you'll see that it should already default to a Boolean. And a Boolean is just saying true or false. So it just stores a 1 or a 0. 1 is for true, 0 is for false. And so we can hit enter, and that should save that. And if we click and drag it into our screen, we should get a little pop-up that has two options: get C's player or sets C's player. And we're going to need both of them throughout the thing, but the first one we're going to want to use is set C's player. So get is where, it's like kind of like the name, we're getting the value out of the set player or the C's player, and then the set C's player is actually going to be changing what that value is. So that's what we want first, is we want to change that value. And so we need to connect these two blueprints. And you'll see on the C's player one, there's like a little checkbox thing, and that checkbox is, if it doesn't have anything, that means it's false, and if you click in it and it has it checked, that means it's true. So that's a simple thing that we're going to be doing. And then we could do this all with one big window where it is, but what we're going to do is make a function, our own event thing, not a function, our own event thing. So we're going to right click and say custom event, and we're going to call it follow player. And so this is just so that we could make this look nice and easy. And so it's going to follow player, and it is the first thing we're going to want to do with that is make a decision. Are we seeing the player, or are we not seeing the player? So if we are seeing the player, we want a branch. So that's how Unreal does an if-then statement, is they use a branch. And so, now is when we need the get player. And so I showed you by pulling out the value from the left. We're also you could look by, if you click and drag and you look for C's player, you see I can also get player's variable. And so that just gets the value for me to work with. And so that value is a true or false. So if it's true, it's going to do one thing. If it's false, it's going to do something else. So we could just do this right now and set it up, and we could do this where we say follow player. And then we could just say print it. I always like printing. And I see you. And we'll want it to display a little bit longer. We'll make it to 10. I'm going to compile and save all. And now we could come in here and we could test it and see if it works. So we'll go to the front of the character and look, it says, I see you, right? And if I move behind it, it's no longer updating. And they should start going away. And if I go back into front, I see you. So we know it's working. So we know at least that part of our code is working. So now instead of printing it to say that, what we want it to do is we want to actually follow the character, right? And there is a built-in blueprint that does that for you that's called AI Move To. And to do this, you'll notice that there's lots of different options for inputs into this blueprint function. And so the ones we're going to need right now is pawn and target actor. So pawn, if you just click and drag from that, you're going to look for self. And so get a reference to self. And that's just saying, if it needs two input things of like the player and the other option. So the themselves and the player. And the target actor is going to be the player. So we're going to get player character. And so that's all we need to show that when it sees the player, it's going to take itself and move it to the get player look character. And so what we're going to do is compile and save all and go test it. And we'll hit play. And we'll see it runs right to us. Now it looks like a ghost or whatever. It's just like floating there and not actually doing anything. And so we still want to animate it, but for right now, it's doing exactly what we want it to do, which is just follow us. So in the next video, I will show you how to animate the guy. See you in the next video.